Hi friends, it's Brittany at Ink and Papyrus and welcome back to my channel. Thank you all who helped make 2024 a wonderful year. Your support, your comments, your project shares, they've all been inspiring and are so appreciated. And I can't wait to see what 2025 brings. Today, we're going to take a look at some of the projects I did in 2024. Many of them are noteworthy because they're fabulous. There were also a few fails that I will share as well. Either way, I'm hoping to leave you with some ideas for future projects. If you happen to see a project you'd like to know more about or wish to watch the full tutorial, then check out the description box below. I will try and link all relevant videos there. So what do you say? Let's take a look at the top 10 projects of 2024, followed by a quick look at all of the journals completed this year. So let's kick off this countdown with one of my absolute favorite embellishments of 2024, pretty paper buttons. I adore using buttons in journals. I love the look. I frequently use them as closures for envelopes, as accessories on embellishments. Sometimes I use them to mark pages, like page tabs, delineate the signatures, and sometimes I even use them directly into my journal layouts. Real buttons are going to bulk up your journal really quickly though. Oftentimes, if I'm using real buttons, I'm using them on the journal covers themselves, or maybe to bind into the signatures, meaning fixing them to the outside of the journal so that they kind of go up and down on the cording, if you know what I'm saying. But I rarely put them into my journals themselves just because they tend to bulk up the journal so much. Unlike these pretty paper buttons, these perfect paper buttons. For added effect, hole punch your buttons, set eyelets, even string some embroidery, floss, or thread through the holes, making them more lifelike if you like that lifelike look to them, but you don't want to add more bulk to your journals. So the possibilities for these are endless. I often use cardstock for these and layer a couple on top of each other to desired thickness. That's the other great thing about these. You can make them as thin or as thick as you want. This is also a great project, by the way, to just bust through some extra scraps you may have. Don't forget, you can use your cardstock scraps that you have. Oftentimes, I will actually put washi down onto cardstocks and actually make washi tape paper buttons. Sometimes, just like you'll see in this video, I actually put down watercolor and splash paint onto maybe plain cardstock or maybe plain paper, maybe paint onto book page to give them some extra appeal. Sometimes I'll even cover cardstock that I really don't like, and all of a sudden when you put some gelatos or paint on it, it kind of transforms the quote-unquote ugly cardstock you have. And then I'll use my hole punch. Usually I use a circle punch, but as you see here, I use a variety of different punches. Sometimes I even layer on smaller punches onto the buttons themselves to decorate them. You see me painting on the white cardstock or splattering. And once dry, like I said, I just use the circle punches to punch out some buttons. Layered book pages work great too. Remember, if you're using a thinner paper, you probably want to layer the papers together first and then punch them out. Paper punches tend to work better when there's a little bit of thickness to the paper. Don't forget decorating them with some gold luster, some glitter glue, some confetti pieces, something around the ends of the buttons works perfectly to jazz these puppies up. Project number 2, spark inspiration, why you need a junk journal idea book. Guys, have you ever forgot how you made that embellishment? Do you ever look through your journals and stumble upon a layout that you'd love to try again? One that you completely forgot about? Maybe you used a really special technique. Maybe you layered things in a certain way. Maybe you want to try some new techniques, but you're too scared you'll quote unquote ruin the journal you're working on if it doesn't turn out the way you'd hoped. Maybe you want to try a new color combination you aren't sure will work together like magic or maybe totally clash. That right there is some of the many reasons I decided to create a junk journal idea book, and I'm so glad I did. I made it my goal that with any new project or page layout I try, I put an example of that project or test a mini page layout within the journal. If I do something that isn't self explanatory, I write a couple of lines in the journal next to the thing and document how I create it. For example, you'll see some of these really cute little mini envelope paper clips. They require a very specific template and folds at certain locations. I keep a template and some very basic instructions for them in this book, along with a couple examples of paper clips. Some of the envelopes you can make to look closed, some open, but basically I just have a couple smattered in there along with the template and the dimensions of the folds so that I can keep making them, and I never have to go, like, I never remember those dimensions offhand, and this way I don't have to. Maybe you're just using it as an art journal or something to help kind of document your progression in this hobby. Maybe you've evolved a lot in your art and you want to keep kind of a timeline or just a record of how you've changed and how your skills have evolved and grown over the years. Something else about this book worth pointing out is that I used all different kinds of colors, sizes of pages. Some are small, large, short, long, some even fold out. And this way I can choose an appropriate paper for the project I'm demonstrating. I purposefully made this book huge in hopes of using it as my go-to idea book for many years. I have a long way to go before I ever even come close to bulking it up because I'm incorporating or adding a lot of projects and layouts in here. I didn't shy away from not just adding a ton of signatures, but adding a ton of space in between the signatures, knowing that this puppy is going to get padded real fast. Point being was this book was a complete game changer for me. And if you don't have an idea book yet, I hope I just convinced you to make one. And now for project number 3. There is something so magical and fun about paper dolls, dressing them up, making them clothes and accessories. This was one of my favorite projects this year, and judging by the engagement on this video, I think it was some of your favorites too. Heck, I love this project so much I made a set of spooky paper dolls too for Halloween. I typically use images from fashion magazines, Elle, Vogue, Glamour. If you don't have magazines at home, you can print out some paper doll models. I will link some free paper doll printables in the description box below, though I'm sure you could find a friend, a doctor's office, a thrift store, or maybe somebody dying to get some magazines off their hands. In case you're new to the concept of paper dolls, I will spend the first few minutes of this video discussing what makes a good paper doll. There are workarounds, but in general, you want to make sure the paper doll is the appropriate size, doesn't have hair flowing, etc. The possibilities for styling them are endless. And in general, I like to make a long flowy dress for them out of paper fabric scraps, decorate their top by either painting or coloring it with marker. Hats, hair pieces, accessories, earrings, they always look amazing. Before you do anything though, you'll probably want to go over them with a thin coat of clear gesso to take away the shine of the magazine. The gesso also makes the dolls friendly to be colored with just about any medium. Once the dolls are coated with gesso, the magazine paper no longer resists marker, gelatos paint, etc. So please check out that video. I hope you enjoyed this project just as much as I did. Speaking of magazines, I'd now like to share my favorite project of the year. I think it was yours too because this was the most popular video I've ever made. Magazines are an often forgotten about and very underrated craft supply. In this video, I showed you all a ton of projects I made using a large variety of magazines. Some of these pieces were made using quote-unquote beautiful cutout images. Other beautiful pieces were made from plain or throwaway images and advertisements. If you think your magazines don't have enough pretty images to create something with, maybe you just need to look at them through a different lens. The type of ephemera you will make in part will be determined by the type of magazine you have, but not to worry, if you're willing to get creative, you can make gorgeous ephemera with any magazines you have. As for me, I mostly worked with fashion, travel, home and garden magazines. I made my own seed packets, postcards, recipe cards, wallpaper Polaroids, paper dolls, space journaling cards. Yes, space journaling cards. But wait, don't stop there. Remember how I told you that sometimes gorgeous ephemera is made by using pieces in their entirety, but other times beautiful projects are made just by using a small little portion of something, even if it means the original image is no longer recognizable. This is exactly how I made some faux postage stamps, some paint strips, paper buttons. Even if you don't think the picture is pretty, I guarantee you there are small patterns within that picture that can be used. So you may have noticed a theme here. I think many of the projects I chose are simple and are made from supplies most of us have around us at the ready. And this includes this project, leaf printing. Turns out one of the most beautiful craft supplies is right outside our doors and free. In this video, I demonstrate several different ways to create gorgeous prints. We'll talk about which leaves create the best prints. I'll show you my favorite ways to leaf stamp, leaf print, create resist prints, and more. We're going to create these using a mix of acrylic and watercolor paints. And finally, I'll show you a few different ways to enhance your prints, especially if your initial print maybe didn't turn out quite as planned. You're going to want to keep those watercolor paints out because watercolor doodles are one of the most fun things you'll ever make. And don't worry, these turn out incredible even if you can't paint or draw, just like someone else I know. It's the whimsical nature, the blobs of paint, and the imperfect scribbling that makes these absolutely magical. In this video, I show you how to make watercolor doodles of mushrooms, owls, other birds, flowers, mason jars, leaves, even narwhals. I think after watching this video, you're going to have enough confidence to make just about anything you can think of into a whimsical watercolor doodle. They come together so quickly, they look incredible as page layouts on journal covers, as embellishments in just about any project. The process of making these is incredibly relaxing and hypnotic. And I think, when you go to do these, you're going to realize, regardless of what theme of journal you're working on, these look fantastic. And just trust the process. Just keep going. You're going to say, oh, like this is a terrible watercolor painting. Just trust the process, layer on some color, let it bleed together, and then let it dry and go over it with that black pen or maybe even like a metallic pen, and I'm telling you, they come together beautifully. Any other ideas for things you'd love to watercolor doodle? Drop me a comment below and maybe we can make some more watercolor doodle videos with all of your suggestions. Next, I have to share with you the best journal cover I've ever made. At least I think so. It's my absolute favorite. You guys might know I'm obsessed with the ocean. I adore the beach. I love swimming and scuba diving. So many of the journals I make are ocean and beach themed, and this is no exception. Several months ago, I found a creator, Lance's Fluid Fusion, who made an absolutely beautiful piece of art with hot glue and paint. It was one of the most inspiring things I think I've ever seen, and in the video, I will be utilizing his technique to create a mermaid themed journal cover. Now, I'm not saying that I do it as well. I definitely don't. He creates beautiful pieces of art using the same technique over and over and over again. But I think you can use some of the basics of this technique or similar technique to create something spectacular yourself. And I think you can use the same technique to make any themed journal you want. In this video, I will show you the basic technique of how to create an image with hot glue on a silicone mat. We will talk about how to create an image with a hot glue in the various considerations. Next, we'll add paint to the hot glue silhouettes. We'll review everything you need to know from the best way to add the paint, what the consistency should be like, and how to let it dry. For this specific journal, I did a bunch of swirling of blue and gray paint to create an ocean background. Now you'll notice in Lance's video, he uses something called Floetrol. It's a silicone base thinner, and I used this to thin my paint as well. You'll see in my video, I'll go into depth as to why I thought that. So I initially tried to do quote unquote an acrylic pour like he does onto the cover, and I didn't get anywhere close. And you'll see in the video why I think that was and why I think this video was unfortunately in part a fail. One of those reasons was because I had all this acrylic paint left over and I thought it would be a good idea to use some old acrylic paint, and I think the texture was kind of chalky and it didn't quite turn out like I liked. Now, in the end, I did manage to salvage the project, well, which I'll talk a bit about. But once I swirled this paint onto the cover and it was dry, I added the hot glue silhouettes. Now, peeling the hot glue silhouettes off the silicone mat was definitely a challenge, and I had some issues with the paint inside the silhouettes cracking. Again, I think that's because I used an acrylic paint that was too old and didn't have the right texture, and maybe I didn't quite use as much Floetrol as I should have. So I thought it would be a good idea to get rid of old paint, but if I had to do it again, which I will definitely be using this technique again, I would definitely use a higher quality paint. I think this video gives some great pearls, some techniques and ideas for decorating a journal cover. But in terms of hot glue art, Lance's video can't be beat. If you're interested in trying this, watch this video to see the process I go through and how I mount the silhouettes onto the cover. But you really need to give his video a watch too, and I will link that in the description box. Before adding the hot glue silhouettes, I demonstrate creating an ocean-themed acrylic paint background. And as I said earlier, I poured the paint, but this was not a true acrylic pour. I used my brushes to create dimension, texture, and simulate waves after it was clear that I was failing on the acrylic pour portion. And I thought, well, let's just add texture. Let's embrace the chalkiness and make it like three-dimensional, sort of like the ocean almost. So listen, guys, this project, even though in many ways it kind of failed in terms of what I was, I failed in the process. The final product was something that I'm really proud of. And like I said, this did end up being one of my favorite journal covers. So give this video a look. If you want to learn more about hot glue art, Lance's Fluid Fusion is the way to go. And like I said, I will drop his video in the description box. Check it out. You will love it. And for number 8, Paperclip Palooza. Paper clips aren't just necessary, but they can elevate any journal and can be made about a million different ways. I love turning what looks like the most boring thing into a pretty decoration. In this video, we went over tons of ways, and that's barely an exaggeration, to create altar paper clips, some hidden, some not. We explored different variations, including double paper clips and what I call front and back paper clips, and many more. I will walk you through creating little dress paper clips, cute envelope paper clips, whimsical house paper clips, even mini junk journal paper clips, a real favorite of mine, and so much more. Regardless of the paper clips you choose to make, you will be addicted by the end of this video, and this video is likely to spark so many other ideas for different style and different themed paper clips. I promise, check it out, you will love it. And ringing in number 9, interactive journal elements. Of all of the journal layouts, interactive ones are my favorite. Prompting the person looking at the journal to flip something up, pull something out, to write, to unravel, it makes the experience so much more enjoyable and personal. In this video, we will be exploring the following interactive elements: foldouts, belly bands, tabs and toppers, doors, journal cards, specimen cards, flip-ups, tip-ins, hidden journaling spots, and shaker envelopes. And I think just by looking at all of the examples I'm going to share with you, you will find a way to adapt these and use them in your own journaling styles and adapt them to whatever theme of journal you're working on. These are all really easy to make, and many of you probably use them in your journals already. But by showing you different examples, I hope to give you some new ideas on how to put a twist on these classics and take them to the next level. All of these examples come from journals that I have finished or that I am currently working on. And now for number 10, DIY watercolor washi tapes. These watercolor faux washi tape scraps look amazing. They are so easy and there's so much you can do with them. I love having these at the ready. They can be ripped apart in sections, used as embellishments in layouts and clusters on masterboard. I also like to use them to frame pictures, create page trim, and page tabs. In this video, I will show you how to make these gorgeous watercolor faux washi tapes out of white cardstock. The key is repeating patterns. First, we create repeating patterns using watercolor paints and different brush strokes. And there's no science to this. This process is very relaxing. You don't even really need to think about it. You just do it. And once these are dry, I decorate them using stamps, stencils, stickers, fabric swatches, doodling, paper scraps, digital images. The list goes on and on. In this video, I discuss techniques for decorating these. There's so much that you can do with this, and as you can tell, this is a perfect scrap buster project. And for a final look at the best of 2024, I'd like to give you all a peek at all of the journals I finished and flipped through this year. First, beautiful blue themed patchwork junk journal. This journal was made from some kind of recycled mailer. The covers collage fabric, lace, trim, and bits of applique. Inside the journal are some beautiful layouts and ephemera, much of which is blue and neutral in color. I hope you find this as inspiring as I did. Next is this Valentine journal I made. This is one of the most unique covers I've ever created, and I love how it turned out. If you want to learn how to get that faux etched metal look, I have included the links for this and all other relevant tutorials below. Regardless of whether you're making a Valentine journal or something completely different, I think the faux etched metal journal is so very unique. And as you can see, the acrylic paint it didn't just stick to the cover really well, but it really emphasized the etching I did. So I hope you check it out, and I hope you create one for yourself. I think this is truly the brightest travel journal I have ever made. In this video, I did a full flip through of the travel journal I used to document my experiences and memories made on my trip to Little Cayman Island. In this video, you are sure to see several inspirational page layouts, ideas for ephemera to collect, easy DIY embellishments, along with so many other great ideas you can use in your travel journals. I hope this island-inspired journal gets you in the travel journaling mood. I think I called this one a beautiful blue blooms journal. Say that 3 times fast. Sometimes simplicity provides us the most satisfaction, joy, and the greatest results. Join me as I pour through a journal I made about 3 years ago. This is before I had several of the fancy supplies I have now, and yet this is still one of my favorite journals. I said it was a journal of 2024 because truthfully, I kind of let it sit a while and I had some blank pages that I just finished up this year. And it all started with a single bubble envelope mailer. I hope this journal flip through inspires you to go back to the basics and just enjoy the process. 2024 also saw my very first little golden book journal ever made, and I'm so excited to share it with you. In this video, I did a full flip through of this little golden book journal, Home for a Bunny. This journal is spring inspired. It's full of bright colors, happy ephemera, watercolor painting, and whimsical doodling. I let go of expectations and just had fun going with the flow. I hope this full flip through inspires you to make something bright, cheery, try some new techniques, and make things the way you want to make them. And for our last journal of 2024, this is By the Sea. Join me as we explore this beautiful ocean-themed journal. This journal is a vintage-style journal filled with light blues, beiges, laces, and other pretty things. You won't find any crazy techniques or a whole lot of sophistication in this journal. This creation was more about simplicity, beauty, and basking in all of the things that make us happy about the sea. So I hope this inspired you as much as it did me. I'm already working on another nautical-themed journal as we speak. So guys, thanks so much for coming on this journey with me. Thanks for your support, your feedback, your inspiration, your project ideas. It means so much to me. 2024 has been an absolutely fabulous year, and here's to hoping 2025 is even better. If you enjoyed this and found value in this video, please hit that like and subscribe button. It means a lot to me, and I love the idea of growing a crafting community here. Thank you all so much, and here's to a great 2025.